Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, welcome to my WWE 2K15 audio universe mode. My name is Alan Chingonzo, or Alan C. And first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you who's taken the time to listen to this episode wherever you are in the world. Maybe you came across it by random, or you were just curious to find out what audio universe mode is. Well, basically, it'll be universe mode presented to you guys in the form of a week, not weekly, but episodic podcast series. Right? I'll be doing it this way because, like a lot of people all over the world, I was unable to keep up with the console gaming. It was too expensive. The games were hard to find, and so after my PS2 died, I figured, you know what, I have ideas for universe mode. I had experienced it on SmackDown versus Raw 2011, and I liked it. And after I discovered YouTube and I see these guys doing universe mode series, I figured, well, I have ideas for storylines and rivalries, so I might as well make the most of them in some way. And so I decided to do my universe mode this way. And I'm hoping you guys will like it. You'll enjoy, you'll subscribe and like and comment. You can suggest storylines that you'd like to see in this series, because the good thing about doing universe mode this way is I'll have more creative freedom than what most people have on the standard universe mode. You can only go so far. But with this series, we can go beyond what we can do in the normal universe series. So in this episode, I wanted to reveal who the champions are, as well as my Mr. Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I'll give you a hint though. In the real world, he's on NXT, yeah? But he's been holding this briefcase since he won it the previous year. Well, he's tried to cash it in and everything, but his attempts have always been thwarted, and there have been occasions where he's had to defend the briefcase against other people who want to take it away from him. But he's still holding the briefcase, and we'll find out who he is in this episode. So let's start off with our WWE World Heavyweight Champion, who is the show-off, Dolph Ziggler. Now, how did Dolph Ziggler get the championship belt in this universe mode? Started off at the previous Survivor Series, where there was a championship scramble match for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was before the titles were unified, right? So in this championship scramble match, we had the champion, Damien Sandow. He was defending it against Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, Alberto Del Rio, and the game, Triple H. Now, what happened was, with the championship changing hands and everything, in the end, Triple H got the last pin. But in order to do that, he took out Ziggler, with the sledgehammer and a pedigree onto a chair. So you can imagine all the chaos that happens in a championship scramble match. There's no disqualifications, no countouts, one pinfall for the win. And so Triple H decided to wait until all the competitors were in the ring. And in that 5 minutes that was left until, the champion was decided, he found his sledgehammer, his signature weapon, took out everyone. And unfortunately, Dolph Ziggler was the last guy to take it and receive a pedigree onto a steel chair, and that took him out. Triple H got the championship, becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. And then on the following SmackDown after Survivor Series, Damien Sandow came out and he challenged Triple H to a rematch because he believed that Triple H could not beat him fair and square based on how Triple H won the match at Survivor Series. Now, Triple H, he was a little reluctant to defend the championship until Damien decided, okay, I will fight you for the title tonight in a steel cage match, and the condition is if you beat me fair and square, I will go to the back of the line, no problem. And with that, Triple H decided, okay, I'll put the title on the line. And in the main event, we had Triple H versus Damien Sandow in the rematch for the title. Now, halfway into that steel cage match, when Sandow had the advantage on Triple H, out comes the WWE champion, Brock Lesnar, with Paul Heyman. Lesnar comes in, he busts through the steel cage, and there we have our three-way standoff with it. Lesnar, Damien Sandow, and Triple H. For a moment, we were not sure who he's going to take out until Damien decided to act, trying to take down Lesnar. But unfortunately, the Beast Incarnate got the better of Sandow, taking him out with an F5 before turning his attention on Triple H. Now, while this is going on in the ring, we have Paul Heyman. He goes to the announce table. He gets Triple H's World Heavyweight Championship, and he decides he's going to reveal why Lesnar is out here tonight. And then back in the ring, Lesnar, after taking out Sandow and Triple H, he gets Triple H's arm over Sandow for the win, and Triple H retains the championship thanks to Lesnar. Now, Paul Heyman tells everybody that Lesnar has been on a roll since the previous WrestleMania, where he won the championship off of Seth Rollins. Now, Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble. He main evented at WrestleMania, took the title. He's been defending it since WrestleMania, although Seth Rollins came back at SummerSlam, beating Lesnar, and they had their rematch at Night of Champions, where Lesnar won back the title. And then at Hell in a Cell, he had to defend it against Roman Reigns in a Hell in a Cell. And then at Survivor Series, he would not defend the title, but instead he would be in a traditional 5-man team elimination match. His team was comprised of Kane, Batista, Bam Bam Bigelow, Kevin Nash, while his opponents were The Shield, who had reunited for Survivor Series, and their partners were CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Now, Brock Lesnar was the sole survivor in that match, and on the following Raw, he had to defend the title in a championship scramble against his teammates who felt that Lesnar wasn't there when they were getting eliminated, right? And Lesnar, he retained his championship. Now here he was out on SmackDown, and he had a message for Triple H, and he's like, I'm the most dominant champion here, and the one thing I haven't done is defeat you for the World Heavyweight Championship. And so he challenged Triple H to a champion versus champion TLC match at the next pay-per-view, TLC, where he will put his WWE Championship on the line against Triple H, will put his World Heavyweight Championship on the line. And the winner unifies the championship belts to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And at TLC, just when you thought Lesnar was going to get one over the game, Triple H revealed why he's the cerebral assassin by bringing out his stablemates. He had been building a stable backstage leading up to TLC, and we finally saw who they were. We had the New Age Outlaws, we had Ric Flair, we had Batista, we had Orton coming out as the mega stable D-Evolution X. And you can imagine now Triple H with his mates taking down Lesnar and allowing the game to scale up that ladder, grab both titles, and become WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Now on the Raw following TLC, just as DX was celebrating with their new champion, out comes the general manager, Teddy Long, with some news for the new champion. Revealed that Dolph Ziggler was back and he would be at the Royal Rumble, the next pay-per-view, and he would be in that Royal Rumble, and hopefully he will win it and main event at WrestleMania. But in the meantime, Triple H would be defending the championship in a rematch against Brock Lesnar at the pay-per-view. So at the Royal Rumble, we had Triple H with Lesnar, but with DX being involved, Triple H got his win and retained the championship. And he instructed his pals who were in the Royal Rumble that they should watch out for Ziggler. And so Ziggler came out at number 15. He survived until the last few guys left were DX. It was DX, Ziggler in the Rumble, and all of us thought that, well, Ziggler, he doesn't stand a chance until number 30 came out, CM Punk. And together with Ziggler, they took care of DX, and it was now down to Ziggler and Punk. Winner going to WrestleMania. Back and forth action until CM Punk got up to the top rope looking to hit his signature flying clothesline, right? And Ziggler caught him with a super kick, eliminating Punk and winning the Royal Rumble. And now the pressure was on the champion, though he had retained his championship, but his WrestleMania match had been decided. He would be facing Dolph Ziggler at the grandest stage of them all. So with one pay-per-view left between them, Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, that being the Elimination Chamber, Ted Long revealed that Triple H would be in the chamber defending his title against 3 superstars who were returning to the WWE for that match, right? And the spots for number 5 and 6, the remaining spots for that Elimination Chamber would be decided that night between Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg. They would fight each other, and the winner would get that spot, and the final spot would be awarded to the winner of another match that was happening that night. And so between Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, of course, they decided to go DQ, and Billy Gunn got his spot in the Elimination Chamber when Road Dogg attacked the ref and was disqualified. And the guy who got the final spot for that chamber was Christian. Now, Teddy Long was aware that DX would try everything they can to make sure that Triple H continues to be champion after Elimination Chamber. So he decided to get the other members booked for matches just to keep them occupied. Right? There was a second Elimination Chamber match announced, and it would be for the Intercontinental title. And the first guy with a spot in that match was Randy Orton, and he would be in that match against the champion, The Miz, Kane, John Cena, Edge, and Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, for those who don't know. As for Batista and Ric Flair, they would be in tag team action at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view against Mr. WrestleMania main eventer Dolph Ziggler and the former WWE champion Brock Lesnar. And so at Elimination Chamber, Randy Orton, he survived his chamber match, winning the Intercontinental Championship. Dolph Ziggler and Brock Lesnar defeated Ric Flair and Batista, but at the end of the match, Lesnar reminded Ziggler that he would be watching him at WrestleMania, and he will be waiting for his chance to get back into the title picture. So think of it like when Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns fought at Fastlane, and Daniel Bryan told Roman Reigns, that you better win, I'll be watching you. That was what happened with Dolph Ziggler and Brock Lesnar. Now, the main event, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match, right? Triple H came out, Billy Gunn came out, Christian was on his way out, but he was attacked by DX's final member, who there had been hints that he was going to come back and join DX but he finally came out, and it was the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, he took out Christian on his way out and took his place in that Elimination Chamber. Like what happened with Kofi Kingston and Edge way back. Edge, I think he was in an Elimination Chamber match before in that night. He lost his title, and then in that other Elimination Chamber match, Kofi was coming out. Edge came out, he took out Kingston, and took his place in that. That's what happened. HBK was now part of this Elimination Chamber match. Now the three returning superstars were Kurt Angle, Bobby Lashley, and Goldberg, right? Imagine, we had Triple H, we had Billy Gunn, we had HBK, we had Kurt Angle, Goldberg, and Lashley in an Elimination Chamber match with the title on the line. How was Triple H going to win this one? Well, you can thank the new Intercontinental Champion Randy Orton, who came out during the match with the sledgehammer, of course, and with it in the Elimination Chamber, Triple H, Billy Gunn, and HBK got through and taking out Kurt Angle, Goldberg, and Lashley. And of course, HBK and Billy Gunn, they got themselves eliminated just so Triple H could retain the championship. So there we have it. Elimination Chamber pay-per-view ended. New Intercontinental Champion, World Heavyweight Champion retains thanks to DX. Now, Teddy Long decided, for WrestleMania, this isn't going to stand, and he decided that if DX are going to be involved in the main event, they would all be suspended, and Dolph Ziggler would be awarded the championship, right? But, DX, they decided to work around that, and at WrestleMania, they decided to attack Ziggler before the Elimination Chamber. This was hours before the main event, and so there was concern that Ziggler might not even make it to the main event, but, Ziggler, he came through. He would face Triple H for the title in the main event, and although Triple H had the advantage and was looking to win the match by countout, walking away with the title, at the stage he was stopped by Lesnar, CM Punk, Kurt Angle, Goldberg, Lashley, and Edge and Christian, who had taken out DX backstage on their way to the ring to make sure Triple H doesn't try anything. Ziggler, of course, got his wind. Tables turned, beats Triple H, becoming the World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania. And that is how Ziggler became our WWE World Heavyweight Championship in this universe mode. The second title is the WWE Women's Championship. You may be wondering how this title... Well, in this universe mode, the Divas and the NXT Women's Championship were unified at WrestleMania. And our champion is Bayley. And how did this happen? We'll start at SummerSlam, where the Divas champion Charlotte and the NXT Women's champion Becky Lynch, they were winning matches across the board, defending their titles, retaining them back to back, and it reached a point where, they were competing to see who would lose their title first, right? So at the beginning of the year, Teddy Long came and he's like, let's put this competition to an end, and we finally decide who the top woman in the business is. So at WrestleMania, there would be a battle royal featuring all the divas, and the last 8 divas would then compete in a ladder match where both titles would be on the line, and the winner, of course, wins both, unifies them to become WWE Women's Champion. So in that battle royal, the last 8 remaining were Bayley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Lita, Paige, Trish Stratus, AJ Lee, and Eve Torres. Now, in the WWE 2K15 game, the Divas roster is, it's quite small. But in this universe mode, I decided to bring back, former Divas champions, former Divas in general. So the roster for this universe mode is big, meaning that there will be, big matches, great storylines, great rivalries within the Divas division. I'm hoping to, push that and make it something worthwhile. And so at WrestleMania, those 8 Divas remained from the Battle Royal. All of them have been champion except Bayley. So she was the underdog going into this match, and despite the overwhelming odds, she scaled the ladder, got the 2 titles, becoming WWE Women's Champion. And of course, Teddy Long came down to give her the new title and to make an announcement that another championship would be revealed on the following Raw concerning the Divas division. So people were excited about that. Then on to our WWE Tag Team Champions. These guys were crowned at WrestleMania, and they were making their debut on the main roster from NXT. And this is how they became champions. The champions then, the Primetime Players, decided to issue an open challenge to 5 teams for a gauntlet match, right? And the winner of that match would become WWE champions, tag team champions, right? And so the Primetime Players, they took on the teams of Tyler Breeze and the Brian Kendrick from NXT. They took on Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. They took on the team of Lex Luger and Goldberg from Raw. And team number 4 was the NWO, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, right? So you can imagine all those big teams against the Primetime Players with the titles on the line. Gauntlet match, right? And believe it or not, the Primetime Players survived up to the final team now. These guys were debuting from NXT, and who else but the realest guys at WrestleMania, Enzo Amore and Big Cass, right? You can imagine the match. People are chanting millions of dollars, and the other guys are chanting, how you doing? Right, it was a big match, and of course, Enzo Amore and Big Cass defeated the Primetime Players to win the WWE Tag Team Champions, and those are the champions in this universe mode, right? And then on to our Intercontinental Champion, of course, Randy Orton. He won the title at Elimination Chamber against The Miz. He would face The Miz again at WrestleMania in their rematch and retain the title. Then the NXT Champion is John Morrison. Now, I wasn't really a fan of John Morrison at the beginning, but later on, when he was around, I liked him. I liked his finisher, the Moonlight Drive. That was awesome. And now he's on Lucha Underground as Johnny Mundo. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to bring him into this universe mode, and he's our NXT champion. He won the title sometime in the previous year when the previous NXT champion, who had just won Money in the Bank, decided to drop the NXT championship because he was moving up to the main roster with the briefcase. And so there was a King of NXT tournament to crown the new champion. And the last 2 guys to make it to the finals of that tournament were John Morrison and Finn Balor. And John Morrison, he beat Finn Balor to become NXT champion, and he's been NXT champion ever since. With the help of Tyler Breeze and the Brian Kendrick, who he formed a stable with. Maybe you guys can name that stable if you'd like. John Morrison, Tyler Breeze, and the Brian Kendrick. That stable. You can offer suggestions for the name of that stable. Then we move on to our NXT Tag Team Champions. In this universe mode, the champions are Baron Corbin and Rhino. As you know, these guys, they're feuding on NXT in the real world currently, but in this universe mode, they decided to put their differences aside and form a team. They won the titles at an NXT special at the beginning of the year from then champions Enzo Amore and Big Cass, who would eventually, they would go to WrestleMania and become WWE Tag Team Champions and debut on the main roster. So our current NXT champions are Rhino and Baron Corbin. Then last but not least, our United States champion. Now, I had fun coming up with the story for this one because the champion here is Ryback. Now, how did he become champion? He won the title at Survivor Series the previous year in a tables match against then champion Finlay. They would have their rematch at TLC. Ryback retained. Now, the following Raw, Ryback decided to start an open challenge, a special open challenge, because he wouldn't be putting the title on the line, but instead a shot at the championship. The winner of whoever beats him in the challenge would face him for the title at the following pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble, right? So during the weeks leading up to Rumble, he was defeated by John Cena and The Big Show, right? And at Royal Rumble, it would be a triple threat match for the United States Championship, and Ryback retained. Right? Then the following month, leading up to the Elimination Chamber, the challenge was open again, and he lost to Booker T. Booker T got the title shot, and he would face Ryback for the title at Elimination Chamber. Ryback retained. Now, the weeks leading to WrestleMania, there would be a tournament instead to crown the new United States champion, United States contender, right? But this tournament would feature 4 former United States champions and 4 superstars who had yet to become United States champion. And in the end, the winner of that tournament was none other than the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So our main event, our match at WrestleMania for the United States Championship was Ryback versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, this was going to be a 30-man Iron Man match, right? 30-minute Iron Man match. But Stone Cold figured, you know what, 30 minutes isn't enough. I'm going to need the full 60. So it was changed into proper 60-minute Iron Man match. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ryback, United States Championship on the line. And let me tell you, these guys went to work. They brought out everything. I mean, everything. Countouts, reversals, multiple finishes. It didn't work. So in the end, they got an equal score, and it was a draw, right? It was a draw. Flat out draw. Truly, it was one hell of a match. They took each other to the very limit, but in the end, Ryback retained his title, but Stone Cold didn't lose the match. It was a draw. They celebrated, of course, but, well, we all know how these matches end. Ryback stunned, Stone Cold, beers in the air. He got the big moment. So those are the backstories for our champions. Now for our Mr. Money in the Bank briefcase holder, NXT guy Hideo Itami. Now when he won Money in the Bank the previous year, he was NXT champion. And so on his last appearance on NXT, he decided to relinquish the title, believing that he's moving up to the main roster. He was thought to be going up to main roster as NXT champion and Money in the Bank winner, but he decided that, I'm going to leave the NXT championship where it belongs on NXT and move up to main roster with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And so the reason he hasn't been able to cash in all this time is because he's tried to cash in, but his attempts to cash in were always thwarted by, rivals, other superstars, and on many occasions he's had to put the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line against other superstars who wanted to take it from him, because with this there was only one Money in the Bank match, and of course he had to decide which title he was going to go for, because back then they hadn't been unified yet, so there was still World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship, so nobody knew who he was going to go for because he was teasing for both titles. Nobody knew. And so this was building up until when? WrestleMania, right after Dolph Ziggler beat Triple H for the title and was celebrating with his friends. Out comes Hideo, and people were like, okay, he's coming to cash in, but no, he decided, no, he's gonna stay and chill and remind Ziggler that, you know what, you're the champion now, but I've got the briefcase, so you better watch your back. So Hideo is still Money in the Bank briefcase holder. I forgot to mention that at Elimination Chamber he fought HBK. Was it Elimination Chamber? No, at WrestleMania, yeah, because HBK was part of the Elimination Chamber. He was revealed to be the last guy taking out Christian. So at WrestleMania, HBK and Hideo Itami, for the first time ever, GTS was there at Mania, and Hideo, he defeated HBK. So those are our champions. That's our Money in the Bank holder. Okay, so once again, I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this first episode, episode 0 of my audio universe mode. I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope you'll stick around. And to the, I think 7 guys who subscribed. These guys, they know me from my posts on Denk Ops' YouTube channel, Denk Ops. He does WWE Universe, he does NBA, he does My Career Mode and some other games. But that's where I started out. I was posting there. I offered up a couple of ideas like NXT specials. He's doing them now. I offered up an idea for a storyline, TNA versus WWE. People liked it, but well, I didn't really get a response from him, so I'm not sure if he liked it or not. And I do panel posts for his Raw episodes, where I, like show a panel, the Renee Young, Corey Graves. I do posts about that panel based on his Raw and his pay-per-views as well. So those guys who subscribe to my channel, they know me from there, and I hope they'll enjoy my universe mode as well. I hope they'll also contribute and everything. And so thank you again. We'll see you on episode 1 when we kick off Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. See you then.